As you can see here, this is the Kyosho Lazer ZX6. I just picked this up from Tower Hobbies. They're having a sale this month. Orders over $540 or $550 get $60 off. So you get a pretty decent discount on the Lazer ZX6. And some of you who have been following me for a while might be wondering why I bought a Kyosho, because I've been kind of harsh on them in the past based on my experience with the ZX5 FS2 SP that I bought about 2 years ago. The reason that I want to give Kyosho another chance is because I'm quite interested in the design of the ZX6. A fair amount of the parts are the same as the ZX5, but for me they made some crucial updates that are important to me. The first one being they got rid of the upper deck. It's an aluminum chassis as the lower deck, and there's no upper deck. So that plastic upper deck piece that they had on the ZX5 that tended to crack or even break towards the front of the chassis, that piece is gone now. So there's less or zero concern about breaking your upper deck if you land a jump poorly. They also changed a little bit on the gearboxes. Previously, the inner camber link ball studs mounted on a separate plastic piece that slotted over the front gearbox and rear gearbox casings. Now those two pieces are just a single piece, and the plastic that the ball stud mounts on, I'm pretty sure it's thicker. So it should be stronger, and so far at least I've heard pretty good things about it. So I'm interested to try this out again, because otherwise the ZX5 was a really good buggy to run. I was just afraid to push it because of the things that were weak about it were a real pain in the butt. So they seem to have addressed it this time, and also I'm glad that Kyosho has not followed the bandwagon of moving over to gear differentials, which seems to be very popular in the current class of four-wheel drive buggies. I don't run on AstroTurf or carpet, so I have no need for gear differentials, and I do like the adjustability that ball diffs offer you. It's very quick and easy to adjust a ball diff. You just, pop one of these ball studs off, rotate the caster block, stick your screwdriver in there and just tighten or loosen a diff, and that's it. With a gear diff, you have to tear the whole thing out, tear the gear diff apart, dump the oil, clean the whole thing out, fill it with oil, wait for the air bubbles to get out, seal it, put it back in, mount the gear. It takes a long time to adjust a gear diff, and if you want to play with minor adjustments just to fine-tune the chassis, you can spend all day doing that. This, it's just, you're in, you're out, you're done. It's very good. So that's a big reason why I was interested in the ZX6, despite the fact that it is the most expensive among the four-wheel drive buggies on the market. I'm not doing that many vintage projects anymore. I have a few in mind that I want to do, but after I did the MIP conversions, I was pretty much vintaged out. There's really nothing else that I can do to top that, or very little I can do to top that. So I'm spending less money on RC now. I figure I can use some of that savings to buy a more expensive chassis once in a while. So that's what I did. And just to give you guys a bit more of an understanding of what's out there on the market, I put together a table that highlights at least all of the competitive four-wheel drive buggies out there. The Durango DEX 410, the Associated B44, 0.0 to 0.2. This is not on the market anymore, but I put it here because it is one of the buggies I currently have. I have a 44.0 with big bore shocks. So that represents that. The 44.3, of course, the Losi 22.4, which I also have, the Kyosho, the X-Ray XB4, the S-Works 104 Evo, Hot Body's D413, the Serpent SRX4, the Schumacher Cat K1 Aero, the Yokomo BMAX 4.3, and the Yokomo YZ4. They're all very fast in their own right. Of course, a car is a car is a car. You can set any of these up to be competitive, but based on the experiences I've had with the Losi and with the associated car, and the things that are good about them and the things that are bad about them, I think that the Lazer ZX6 combines what's the best about both of those cars into a single car. So I want to try that. And also consider that because I like ball diffs over gear diffs, the only other car on this entire market other than these three that has ball diffs is the Schumacher Cat K1 Aero. okay? But that has 14mm hex rim, so if I get that car, I cannot share wheels between my Losi 22.4 and my Cat. At least between these two, because I still run my Losi, I can share wheels between them. They're more or less interchangeable. The offsets might be a little different. I know the ZX6 has, or the ZX, even the ZX5 has slightly wider front wheels than the 22.4, but it's a small enough difference that you can treat these two having largely interchangeable front and rear wheel sets. So that's also a big plus for me. So that's why I got the ZX6, despite the cost, and I do look forward to building this. I flipped through the manual. I also looked at it online in some reasonable amount of detail. It's about the same instruction quality as what the ZX5 had, which is to say poor. It's not horrible, it's just you really got to know what you're doing when you're building these cars. Not all of the parts are labeled in the parts bags, like all the parts trees. Not every parts tree is labeled. You know, the manual doesn't exactly have a page or a database of all the parts that you need with labels and reasonable descriptions of them. So really you just have to rely on the pictures throughout the build and correlate those to the parts you're trying to pull from your parts bags. And also, if I remember correctly, sometimes you have to pull from separate parts bags to do one step or a particular module. So that's a problem. So you do have to know what you're doing when you build a Kyosho. But once it's built, it's very nice. Very, very good buggy. So, yeah, I'm hoping I'm not making this too long-winded, but I just wanted to let you know I have another Kyosho. I am willing to give them another try. I will put a build series together for this, as I usually do with my new kits, and I'll let you know how it goes. So, for the time being, thanks for watching.